Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. This property today becomes the third of three properties that we have recently listed in Otero County in the southern portion of the state, really right on the outskirts of Alamogordo. So this is another nice residential lot in a nice residential area. As you can see from the headline there, it's got a lot of enviable features, notably pre-fenced lot. It's a corner lot. It's got power. It's got paved road access, and honestly, a whole bunch of other things that we couldn't fit in the headline itself, and thus the reason for this video. So I'll thank you in advance for watching, guys, and we'll get to the details now. This is reference number OTNM-6918, located, as noted, in Otero County in the southern portion of the state. This is in the T.F. Smith subdivision, and this 1.7 acres is actually a combination of two adjacent lots, lots 23 and 24. It totals scooch under 2 acres, and as you saw up top here, that 1.72 is priced at $20,000. For the record, guys, $20,000 may sound like a lot until you see the region that this sits in. I promise you $20,000 is actually a scooch under the local comps for a lot of this size. So with that said, let's pull this up on a map. Do as we always do. GPS coordinates down here on the page for your convenience, 4 corner points and a center. Click any one of them, and on Google Maps, it shall appear. So first, let's acclimate ourselves within New Mexico, talk about where exactly this is. I have found recently from callers that a lot of people don't know Alamogordo, but everybody knows Albuquerque, and they call and say, where's Albuquerque? So Albuquerque is up here, guys, roughly about 300 miles north of this property, not necessarily close to Albuquerque. The property does, however, sit down here in Alamogordo, which is, I believe, the most densely populated city within Otero County. It should be noted, however, that Las Cruces, which is roughly the second most densely populated city in the state, is down here roughly about a mile south-southwest of the subject property. Additionally, El Paso down here in Texas is about an hour and a half from the subject property. And yes, Texas is bordering you just to the south here, borders Otero County just to the south. It should be noted that Otero County, amongst the many, many things to do and see in Otero, the property is ideally located not only very close to White Sands National Park, right over here. It's roughly about a 15-minute drive from the subject property. And by the way, for those of you who don't know White Sands, I've said this in a couple of videos. It never actually occurred to me to queue up images. But White Sands, of course, is this gorgeous national park down here with the iconic white sand dunes that have probably the most photographed part of the state. So having this just in your backyard will give you plenty of opportunity to explore this and really take in this sort of idiosyncratic thing that exists down here in southern New Mexico and really nowhere else in the U.S. So anyway, that one's right in your backyard. In addition, however, the property also sits very, very close to the Lincoln National Forest, which is roughly about 15 minutes east of the subject property. So really ideally located for hunters. Of course, out here they've got elk, they've got mule deer, wild turkey, bear, they've got a whole bunch of other species of critters, antelope, so on and so forth. We actually have on our listing page a link to the Lincoln National Forest website where you can learn more about this, campgrounds, trails, getting a hunting permit, so on and so forth. That'll be linked on our listing page. They, of course, will be infinitely more informative about hunting than I am. Whatever the case, that is in close proximity to the property, as well as, of course, Cloudcroft and Ski Cloudcroft, which is up here. So roughly about a 20-minute drive to some nearby skiing in this area. So on and so forth. So a lot to do around here. And of course, Elephant Butte Lake. It's not a direct drive, but I believe it's something like about a 2-hour drive down and around to get up here to Elephant Butte Lake. So more of probably a weekend thing, but largest body of water in the state. And of course, that sits relatively close by as well. With all that said, guys, let's zoom in on the property here. Should be noted that Tularosa is up here, roughly about a 10-minute drive from the subject property, but it sits really right outside of Alamogordo. In fact, if we go to satellite view and just kind of zoom in here, I just want to show you this. So this white building right here, there we go, is the Walmart Supercenter. Here's the property. If we right-click and measure distance to the Walmart, it is 1.7 miles as the crow flies. If we do one of these, maybe it becomes 1.9 miles. But the point is right down the street from Walmart. And when you're right down the street from Walmart, of course, you are right down the street from a developed area that has a lot of big box stores, restaurants, bars, etc., as well as, of course, anything that you're going to need as far as groceries and supplies are out here. In additional medical facilities, schools, churches, so on and so forth. So this is a built-up region, 30,000 plus people living out here, and this property sits really right in the shadow of Alamogordo. Fortunately, this is in the unincorporated area of Otero County, and I'll get back to more about that a little bit later in the video. Whatever the case, guys, this 1.7 acre lot sits here at the corner of Alamogordo Drive and Tularosa Street. It is roughly this thing that you see right here. This is the subject property. And if we go to the map view here, you can see the kind of plat overlay here on Google Maps, which will give you a sense of exactly how large this lot is. This plat overlay has kind of recombined the two lots a little bit, but if you come down here on our listing page, I'd encourage you to check this out. We have not only the plat map down here, which represents this as two individual properties, but we also have the helpful satellite imagery just to give you guys a sense of the exact sort of footprint of this property and what surrounds it. Now, it should be noted, guys, on this still, you will see some kind of structure, some kind of trailer, some kind of home site situated on the land. If you go to the next still, we make a point of letting you know that the trailer pictured in the satellite view is no longer on the property. The satellite view is from a few years ago. That trailer was moved out of there sometime in, I don't know when, the last few years. But the owners assured us of that before we purchased it, and fortunately when our photographer showed up, he proved that they weren't lying. There was no trailer there, so that's a good thing. We'll return to that in just a bit. Anyway, so point is, since you're out here in this residential area, it should be noted, guys, that you've got power at the lot line out here. You've got underground utilities servicing this region, and a number of home sites out here. I am still regrettably foggy on how exactly all these people are getting water, but I know that you don't usually find this many wells drilled in close proximity to one another. So city utilities are very likely out here. As noted, paved roads. Generally, when I see paved roads, that's usually something that goes with that. Also, I'm not seeing wells on these properties, but it should be noted I'm also not seeing water meters. So that'll be part of the buyer's due diligence, we'll suggest. Whatever the case, guys, down here in the photo gallery, I just want to show you some photos of the town. If you're not familiar with Alamogordo, if you're looking, seriously at property within southern New Mexico because you're going to be moving down there for work, or you're just trying to get out of the Northeast, you don't want to be shoveling snow anymore for 4 months of the year, 5 months of the year. This is the quaint town of Alamogordo. These are some photos here from the region, and of course the Otero County Courthouse, some county buildings, and the aforementioned Walmart, roughly less than 2 miles from the subject property. Blah, blah, blah. And then finally we get out here to the land. As noted, paved road access both along Alamogordo and Tularosa roads. This is the property over here. You will notice, unfortunately, this is the only proof that I have of underground utilities in this region, but I know they're out there, is this old busted up, beaten down box. Our photographer, unfortunately, did not get better pictures of the underground utilities that are out there, but this one is at least a little bit of evidence of the fact that they have been out there and do exist. Whatever the case, going through the photos. First, we get a sense of the fencing here along the property. Just to give you guys a sense, the fencing, in case it needs to be said, is running over here along the southern border of the property and up here along the western boundaries of the property. There is also a fence about located halfway through the property that separates the one lot from the other. I will get back to that as we arrive on pictures of that. Whatever the case, guys, oh, by the way, hang on, guys, this one, I've never seen this on a property before. Free mailbox, free built-in mailbox. So you've also got that going for you, as well as there's a little bit of an entranceway here, which you can see, I believe, in the next photo. Yes, this and this. By the way, the rubbish that you see here on the ground, it should be noted this property actually has a little bit of rubbish on it, which you will see more of in the photos. So, we buy these properties as is, we sell them as is. Occasionally, if we get something that's really junky, we will get things removed, we'll get trash removed. This, however, is not one that I felt qualified for that. And, if you're watching the video and you're like, hey, Hemingway, why would I want to buy a property with a bunch of, whatever on it, rubbish, let's say. Yeah, I feel the same way. That being said, a lot of buyers don't feel the same way. A lot of buyers look at it as sort of like found treasure, and they kind of relish things that you will find on this property, like a little cabin that I'm going to show you guys in a bit. This is the aforementioned fencing that I was speaking about earlier. When we get to the drone shots, I will point this out more. But essentially, whoever owned these properties beforehand divided Lot 23 from Lot 24 with this fencing. So if this is something that you're going to want to expand on, you're probably going to end up pulling this out. If this is something that you're going to keep separated because this is a sort of casual investment for you, you're going to live on one lot, you're going to resell the other, maybe the fencing stays and it's a good feature, helps delineate the boundaries. I don't know, but that's up to you, the buyer. Point being, it exists, and you should be aware of it. For the record, guys, there is an opening in the fence more toward the eastern part of the property. I will show you that as well in a bit. Going through the photos some more, you can see, number one, this is a lovely region, and number two, that one of the previous owners did, in fact, leave some garbage on the property. Some of these things right here. There is, however, the bus that's on the other property, by the way. There is, however, if you go through this, you will see, oh, hey, wait a minute, underground utilities right here. I hadn't noticed that. So, yes, the underground utilities are present. Anyway, but if you go through these, you will also see this cabin that I mentioned coming up. Any photo now. More cinder blocks, more things like that, debris left on the property. And here's the aforementioned cabin. Now, I'm not entirely certain what they would have been using this for, but I noticed it has its own little mailbox on it as well. So anyway, do with that what you will, but I think it is a kind of quaint feature. And I know that a lot of buyers in the past, whenever we have properties like this, do tend to really like stuff like this. So anyway, just an FYI, that is there. But as you can see from the rest of the property, the shots that don't have too many cinder blocks or too much garbage on them, that it is a pretty flat, easily built upon piece of land. It's not too overgrown. Obviously, you're going to come in here, you're going to do some landscaping. You could put up a mobile, a modular home, single family residence, really of any sort. We'll get to the zoning in a bit, but the possibilities are, I don't know. We'll go with limitless. We'll go with limitless on a nice flat piece of land like this. For the record, guys, let me just direct your attention here to the drone shots that are up top that end out the gallery here. So first off, in this one, you can kind of see where this fencing is. The property begins down here. This is the southern portion of the property, and this is the northern boundary right here. As noted, there's fencing right here, and there's an opening in the fence right here where presumably you can, easy access from one lot to the other. But the point is that does exist out there on the land. Additionally, you can also see that there is fencing really all around the property. So it's not the kind of thing that's going to require a survey. It's pretty well dictated what your property boundaries are. So that's always a nice benefit when you don't have to pay, $2,000 for a survey. Particularly when all the surveyor is going to come out and do is tell you it's a rectangle. Anyway, hey, by the way, guys, it's a rectangle, and those are the property boundaries. That's what it looks like right there. And if you go through the photo gallery here, you will see the surrounding area. Of course, facing west this way, not a lot to see, but when we get into the eastward facing point of view here, you'll see that it's a pretty dynamic mountain range off here in the near distance, as well as the town of Alamogordo, just very close by. And additionally, from these shots, you can also see not only the boundaries of the property, but also the homes that surround the region. You can see that this is a pretty well built up little area. So this is not the type of rural, vacant, drive 20 minutes through the wilderness to get to a type of property. This one's right here, really just right on the outskirts of the city. Anyway, guys, I will let you explore these more. Here at the end of the photo gallery, you can see more of these majestic mountain views that are just very close by to the property. And, of course, we will have a drone video up down here at the bottom of the page, which I'd encourage you guys to watch. It'll give you an even better sense of the property, the terrain, and the surroundings. With all that said, guys, let's talk about zoning. So up here in the table, we have a link to covenants, which if you click on, it's going to bring up these covenants. As noted, this is in the T.F. Smith subdivision. I would challenge you to find anybody who's living in the T.F. Smith subdivision who probably even knows that it's called the T.F. Smith subdivision, but that's the name the developer gave it. Most likely that was his name. Anyway, Otero County has no formal zoning ordinance, no formal county-wide zoning ordinance. They tend to defer to the towns and municipalities within the county. We talk about that here. In regions like this, unincorporated regions of Otero County, if there is no, city government like Alamogordo, if there's no city government like whatever Cloudcroft saying what you can and cannot do with land, with real property, quote unquote, then there are typically HOAs, there's property owners associations, they have covenants, they have restrictions, they have their own rules, and the county tends to defer to them. This subdivision, however, has none of that. Has no HOA. We write about this down here. Has no HOA. It has no annual dues. It does, however, have these covenants. So I like to make our buyers aware of these covenants. If you click the link, it'll take you to here. Now, realistically, my suspicion is no one is enforcing these covenants. So you've got 3 pages plus a notary page down here. It's really not that dense. It's really not that strict. These are what we like to call light covenants. Many of these very reasonable, logical covenants. The only things that they really dictate here, if anybody is actually enforcing these, and again, I doubt that they are, is that things like construction once commenced must be completed within 1 year. So don't leave an eyesore on the property, though, as you probably noticed from some of the neighboring photos, there's some neighbors who have what we can reasonably call eyesores on their property. So again, I don't think anyone's enforcing this, but we're going to say there's a time limit with building from groundbreaking to the time that you finish should be about 1 year. And again, you can own the property for 50 years, do nothing with it, but the day that you stick a shovel in the ground and you start putting down a house or something, that's when they'd like it completed within that 12-month period. Additionally, guys, it also gets into a little bit about permanent structures and about temporary structures, living in a temporary structure while you're building the permanent structure. Doesn't necessarily dictate anything about RV usage here, but I would assume that that's implied with the first covenant. Additionally, point 3, no mobile homes under 600 square feet or more than 10 years old. That's really about as strict as these covenants get. Now, I'll point out to you that they talk in point 5 here about an architectural control committee. You know, if you come back and you look at these drone photos of the surrounding area, I mean, it's a lovely area, but you will see that the neighbors, you know, I doubt there's an architectural control committee out here telling this guy, yeah, you can keep an RV parked in your yard. I doubt that there is an architectural control committee out here telling them, yeah, sure, just park these buses anywhere. Additionally, you know, the property just north of this one, just north of the fencing right here, if you look at the photos of that lot, you can see that there's a good amount of rubbish left over on that property. When you see those sorts of things, it tells you really that there's no zoning, there's no fines going out, there's no HOA, and covenants are not being enforced. So we like to make our buyers aware of the covenants. We are, however, also making you aware that it's unlikely anyone is actually enforcing them. Whatever, guys, if you're going to give us $20,000 or anybody $20,000, read the covenants, acquaint yourself with them. Always a good idea. Anyway, with this said, a couple of the things that we do want to point out here. Let me pause the video for a second, guys. So yeah, also want to point out just local utilities. Down here under county contact information, we have the Otero County Electric Co-op. Click this link. It's going to take you to their website. You know, anybody who's doing research on a property, hey, I'm going to put down a mobile home, whatever. I've already got power at the lot line. That's a great benefit, but what's it going to cost me to get that extended to the thing I'm constructing or parking on the land? Always good to have a conversation with a local utility company in advance of that, so you have a sense of cost, so you have a sense of logistics, or even just a sense of schedule. How long is it going to take them to get a guy out there to do this? Is it a 2-month thing, or can they do it this weekend? Always a good conversation to have. Additionally, guys, we always like to make people aware of the New Mexico State Engineer's Office. As noted, this is in a pretty developed area here, just on the outskirts of the city. So I doubt that you need a well. I doubt really many people out here using the wells. There's very likely city water out here. These are pretty well built up homes. Whatever the case, if you do want to dig into the whole well information thing, Office of the State Engineer is the place you start. That, of course, is the organization in New Mexico responsible for permitting wells for essentially water rights, we'll say. Or, guys, as always, recommend reach out to local well drillers. Talk to them. They always have the best sense of water table depth, practically speaking, cost, logistics, so on and so forth. Anyway, guys, with that said, I will let you explore more of this property on your own time. It should be noted we closed on this with Pioneer Abstract and Title, so we did get title insurance on this, and we will be providing a warranty deed with this property. Of course, when you're paying this amount of money, we encourage you as well to close through title and escrow. But the way to start that process is by coming up here, clicking the Buy Now button, and going to this secure checkout, where we have the non-refundable, guys, once more, non-refundable earnest money deposit of $500 that just sort of kicks the purchase off, shows us that you're a serious buyer. You give us all your information, legal name for deed, tax address, so on and so forth. Agree to the terms of service, click next, and on the very next page, we'll ask for credit or debit card information for that $500. And, you know, guys, once you put that down, if somebody wants to close outside of escrow, if you want to do a wire transfer, if you want to do credit card for the other remaining, $19,500, that's fine with us. We can do it, but we encourage our buyers in this price range, $20,000. Let's close through a title company for a variety of reasons that are important. Most notably, if you're going to build on the land, my suspicion is you're taking out a loan at some point. Lender won't lend on vacant land that does not have title insurance, or really any property that doesn't have title insurance. So it's an added benefit of closing through a title company like the aforementioned Pioneer. If you'd like to learn more about this process, guys, we've got a page on our website. It's called How It Works, Buying From Us. Click that. It will take you to this page. Down here, the second option, price $10,000 plus, type of closing recommended, title escrow. You can read more about this. Essentially, guys, you put down the deposit within 24 hours. We're going to have a contract to you, sale, purchase agreement. You sign it, we submit it to title, and they do the rest, albeit slowly, very, very slowly. And if you'd like to see what the contract looks like that you'll be asked to sign, just click this link right here. It'll take you to a generic version of one of our standard contracts. Pretty self-explanatory, one page for signatures, but if you got a brother or a sister who's an attorney, you want them to review it, knock yourself out, be my guest. Anyway, guys, with that said, another really nice property out here on the outskirts of Alamogordo, really nice residential area. I really like this one. I think it's a really pretty area. And of course, you've got easy access to a lot of, just groceries and amenities, but also some really nice sort of iconic southern New Mexico, things to take advantage of. So hope this one appeals to you as well. As always, guys, if you have questions, leave a comment here on YouTube or shoot us an email at support@hemingwayland.com. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.